Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, much appreciated. And today we're going to talk about difficult co-anglers, how to deal with them, and try to give you guys some tips and advice on making your day go a lot smoother. I've fished with co-anglers since the late 1980s. I probably fished with pushing 2,000 different co-anglers. I got a lot of experience on every type of person you can possibly get out there, and I've sort of learned a lot about dealing with some people that can be difficult on the water, so I was going to pass those tips along to you guys. Real quick, just wanted to pass along a weekly reminder. If you guys are interested in helping support out the channel further, one of the best ways to do that is to become a member of the channel. As a member, you get additional videos every week that aren't seen by the public, access to my personal email address, and if you're interested in that, just go to the About section on my YouTube homepage. Click on the About section, then click on Intuitive Memberships. Gives you all the info for that. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, let's talk about these difficult co-anglers to get along with. First of all, I'm not, this is my opinion on everything, and when I say this, I don't mean any disrespect to co-anglers at all. I think the co-angler program, it's a double-edged sword. It's terrible for the pros. Simply because it's something that takes away your focus, which you shouldn't have to. Ideally, all professional type tournaments should have observers, not co-anglers. Co-anglers definitely play an impact on the outcome of a tournament all the time, whether it be good or bad. But it's a reality of the situation, regardless of the way you want to look at it. We have to deal with that, and it's a great learning. For the co-anglers that are out there, it's a great learning tool. It's probably the best learning tool that you can have to accelerate your learning curve quicker than anything, is to fish with pros. Given that, I want to say one thing before I get into this. And this is to you co-anglers out there, your experience on the water will be 1 billion times better if you go into the tournament trying to just learn, where the outcome of your performance is secondary to what you can learn on the water. Because I promise you getting a $300 or $400 or $500 check by placing in the top 15 or top 10 in the tournament is nothing compared to the information that you can possibly get from a pro if you treat your pro right, if your pro does not feel threatened. That's a huge thing about it. So I'd encourage every co-angler out there is put the competition on the back burner and try to use it as a learning process. That being said, guys, like I said, out of the thousands of co-anglers I fished with, the vast majority of them are great to fish with. They're there for the right reasons. They respect what you're trying to do on the water, and it's a good experience for everybody. But I'm going to say that there's about 10% of the anglers out there, maybe 15, that are just very difficult to fish with. They're very difficult, and they basically just become a distraction in the boat. There's two different types of co-anglers out there that are the distractions, or they're difficult to deal with. The first group that I'll put that in that 10 to maybe even 20%, 10 to 20%, let's say that, are the guys that they just don't know any better. They don't know about the courtesy and ethics that come with tournament fishing as far as towards a professional out there. And they'll do some things on the water that they just don't know any better. And it's not that they want to do that, they're new to the sport and they don't know any better. So that's one element. And then you have the other co-anglers out there that are just hard charging. They know what they're doing. They're out there to compete against their pro. They're out there to catch many fish as they can. Those are the dudes I have a problem with out there, and we will buck heads if they're in the boat with me, I can assure you. And one of the things that you have to realize is you have to let these co-anglers know that are difficult that, this is how you're making a living. You've invested all this money into this. You may be paying your bills as a result of it. This is your living. This isn't something that's part-time for you. Like they may have a job that's full-time. So that needs to be gotten aware of up front right off the bat. The second with that is the most difficult. There's two different ways that co-anglers are usually difficult. One is they try to cast up in front of the boat, or they try to hit targets that you're trying to break down. Say, for example, if you're fishing, the pros fishing, you got a nice laydown tree up ahead of you, and you know in that particular laydown tree there's possibly 20 different ambush points for that fish to be in. And in order to generate the strike out of that laydown, you have to be able to make 15, 20, 30 casts to that piece of cover from different angles. The nightmare situation and the problem I have with the difficult co-anglers is a lot of times you get to a good piece of cover, you make a couple flips or pitches in there, and they're right in there 2 foot away from you after you've made 2 or 3 casts. That's just wrong. That's rude. That's disrespectful. That's not courteous whatsoever. And what that does, that completely takes the focus away from the pro. Instead of the pro's trying to catch fish, which is difficult enough, but now they've got to figure out how to catch fish around some dude in the back of the boat that's putting the pressure on them and fishing where he shouldn't be fishing. And that throws another curveball in there. It gets your blood pressure high, your anxiety levels go up, your stressors go up, and you don't need that. When you're trying to catch bass, you need to be calm and relaxed. So the first thing you have to do, if you get a dude like that, and you'll know real quick, because they'll do it real quick to you when you pull up on a bank, is you just got to say, look, I don't mind you fishing these piece of cover, but let me fish it first. I've got to get 20 some casts in here from different angles. Let me fish it out first before you cast in there. Let them know that right off the bat. And a lot of times what happens is they'll listen to you at first, and then they'll start doing it again, maybe 30 minutes later. And at that point, I give them one chance. And at that point, if they don't do that, then they've screwed themselves. I position my boat where they simply can't cast around that cover, and I will stop trying to help them whatsoever. On the other hand, if I get a co-angler out there that says, Randy, you need to do what you need to do. I'm going to stay out of your way. You fish that, you make 100 casts to that piece of cover before I get in there if you want to. If I get some guy that says that to me, guys, I will bend over backwards to do everything that I can do to help them. I will give them the baits. I will teach them everything I know about it. I will spill my wealth of information to somebody that shows me that respect. And again, if I get some dude that's going to put his bait right in next to me every time I do it, they're not going to get nothing but a hard time. So that's the way that goes there. That's just the reality of it. That's the way most pros feel about it too. So, and a lot of times it can even be something that subtle. Say, for example, a lot of times where you're fishing docks, say you're in behind docks, behind cables, and you're working down a row of docks, a lot of times the boat will get twisted to where the co-angler can start picking apart the piece of cover that you're going to go to next. Say if you're fishing down a row of boat docks, and you've got to tuck in your boat at one angle to get on one dock, and as soon as you make that cast, you're going to turn your boat and you're going to start fishing the next dock. A lot of co-anglers will cast to that dock that he knows that you're going to go to next. And if you're in, you have to do the same thing in that situation. You have to set some ground rules with those guys. And the ground rules, like I said, they can be enforced simply by your boat positioning. And you may get some guy out there that says, okay, I'm going to protest you because you're cutting me off. They're not getting cut off. They've got tons of water to fish. They got water 360 degrees around the boat. Just don't fish when the pro's trying to fish. I mean, that's all you have to do about it. So that's a big element there. That's a big problem. But the advice I'll give you guys, if you get one of those dudes that doesn't show you the respect for picking apart your cover, give them, just a nod, just ask them politely, beforehand, because you don't know, you're assuming they don't know what they're doing. Some people do, but you have to set those ground rules. Then if they don't abide by your ground rules, then you can make it very difficult with them simply by boat positioning. The second type of co-angler that is a difficult co-angler to do with is what I call the whiner. And the whiner or the complainer is a co-angler out there that is not happy about how you're fishing. It doesn't matter what it is. I've had a handful of whiners in my boat before where they just didn't like what I was doing. If I was flipping isolated laydowns, they didn't like fishing like that. If I was having parallel bluffs, they didn't like fishing like that. They had it in their mind that they want to fish a certain way. They may have heard their buddies saying, well, everybody's catching them out way off Main Lake Points, fan casting around the boat, and I may be up flipping isolated docks, and they just don't like that, and they start moaning and complaining about that, you know. And at that point, you know, you sort of have to do the same thing. It's like, you know, dude, you can pay your entry fee to fish pro and you won't have to deal with this, you know, but this is how I'm fishing, and you know, that's just the way it is. Another, along with the complainers, a lot of times, is you have the talkers, and this is pretty frequently. And I don't have the ability, and a lot of guys, I can't like focus on talking and catching fish at the same time. So I don't like to talk when I'm fishing. So if I get some guy that is just nonstop talking, I either stop responding to him, or I just tell him, it's like, you know, I can't focus on talking and fishing at the same time. Yeah, I don't mind having just necessary conversation. Or, you know, if you're catching them real good, you get in more of a talkative mood. But when you're trying to focus on catching fish, you don't need any distractions. You don't need distractions from talking. You don't need the distractions about worrying if some dude's going to cast in front of you or anything like that. You need to have complete focus out there with what you're doing. So that's the main ways, guys, that I'll tell you. That's the main advice that I can give you guys is, you know, you got to be upfront and honest with the guys, be kind, be courteous with them, give them a chance, let them know what the situation is. And if you get one of those guys out there that is just being a jerk, you just got to cut them off, you know, through boat positioning, which I will do in the boat in a split second. So, like I said, I don't mean to sound harsh or anything like that, but this is business. You know, tournament fishing out here is business on the pro side. Co-angler fishing is not business. That's something that's like going to school or something like that. Don't consider yourself a professional co-angler. Don't come to these tournaments as a co-angler to try to be competitive against your pro, because I can promise you it's going to wind up to be a bad experience for you. Again, on the other hand, if you approach it right, if I get some guy, like I said, if I get some guy, man, Randy, I just, you know, do what you need to do. I'm going to stay out of the way. I just want to learn here. Man, they're going to come away from that day with a ton of info. I'm going to talk to them and give them some great tips and advice. So it goes both ways there. Anyway, guys, I hope that helps out. We're getting ready to start up the tournament season next month, and I thought it'd be pretty timely to talk about this, the co-anglers. And like I said, I hope everybody out there has a good experience. Hope you co-anglers out there that are fishing don't take offense to what I'm talking about. I'm just laying out the reality of the situation. Use the co-angler format as a learning tool, and you'll be much happier. And pros out there, you know, just stand up for yourself, and, you know, don't let co-anglers, you know, distract you from what you need to do. You know, be kind, be courteous about it, but in the big picture, this is a business and it needs to be treated as such. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll talk to you later.